This is Jenna Griffiths of Earth School, and welcome and thank you so much. It's such an honor and a privilege to have you.
Wonderful. And thank you for the invitation and to join your Earth School.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. To contribute in any way. You know, what else is Earth for? I think you're onto something.
You know, Byron, and I'm calling you Byron.
That's Katie, perfect. That's my name, actually.
I just want to thank you so much for your work, because you've really pulled me out of a dark place quite a few times. So thank you. Mm-hmm.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You know, it's such a privilege that this gift of inquiry that was given to me. You know, it's not personal. It's for everyone. It just came for nothing. I mean, it just was free, and to pass it on is just, you know, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And certainly in me, you know, peace is it's a beautiful thing. The end of suffering. Earth School.
Yes. And you're speaking to the queen of self-torture today.
I used to compete for that. I wasn't even aware of it, but I was competing.
So just for our listeners, I'm going to just tell them a little bit, and you can flesh it out a bit, but you were once in a very, very dark place, and you know, you didn't want to leave your room, and you
it was as though I was paralyzed. I was so depressed. And today that means fearful to me. At the time, I didn't know I was fearful. I was depressed, and it was their fault. and you know, just just on and on and on. But my mind wasn't clear enough to see the beauty of the world. So through inquiry, I was able to see what's true and what's not, what's reality and what was fantasy. And in that, I found myself in a whole other paradigm, a whole other world, no one told me, you know, that it existed, this other world, you know, this world of kindness and no depression, no agoraphobia, no resentments, no suffering, you know, and if they had told me, I wouldn't have believed it. I didn't even have the ability to. I was quite a warrior for pain.
I was almost thinking like it's like the eye of the hurricane, and where it's calm and peaceful, and just outside that eye, all hell breaks loose.
Oh, yeah, very good. I see that one.
So usually we're just that one step outside of the center.
Yeah, it's so tempting to judge someone or something. It's tempting, but you know, we feel those emotions as soon as we judge, and those emotions can wake us up to, you know, it's a judgment. Let's question that and come back to peace until eventually we just notice, we smile, and there's no trip out.
Katie, would you like to explain your 4-step process just very briefly?
Yes, it's inquiry, and the work is a way to identify the thoughts that are causing the suffering. So we identify those, and one way to do that is we go back to a situation where we were stressed out, where a situation we feel shame or guilt over, a situation where we were angry or hurt. Anyway, we identify that situation. We identify what we were thinking and believing in that situation on a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. Those are always free at thework.com. You just push print and it's yours. So we identify what we were thinking and believing in that hurtful situation, and then we question those thoughts on the worksheet. And the first question is it true? The second question is, can you absolutely know that it's true? Are you sure it's true? And then that third question is to notice, to close your eyes and meditate on that moment in time and notice how you react when you believe the thought. And that is just the most amazing thing to meditate on. It shows you. And then that fourth question and the last one, who would you be without the thought?
That is just phenomenal.
Yes, it is. And you witness that situation without superimposing your story on it. And it opens to the most amazing, amazing world. So we see when we're believing the thought, there's suffering. When we see... every sneeze right on time. And thank you for the blessing. I can certainly use that.
It's an excuse for being blessed.
Yes. And we see the situation without superimposing our story on it, and the wisdom that we see there, and the compassion we experience, and the connection we experience, the extreme opposite of how we react when we're believing it. So it begins to wake us up, and then we turn it around. Let's say, for example, if I were questioning, he doesn't care about me, for example.
Yes.
When I get to the turnarounds, 4 questions and turnarounds, when I get to the turnarounds, I find opposites. He does care about me. And so now I meditate on that situation when I was so upset or angry or hurt. I meditate on that, and I see, he does like me. And that can be to the ego. It's like it can feel like death, because we don't want to be wrong. The ego doesn't want to be wrong and wants to be right. But he does care about me. So I find in that situation, it becomes easier after those 4 questions, after answering those, to see, and just even a second, a moment in time where he was caring toward me. And then another opposite, I don't care about him. And then to witness in that situation, where was I uncaring toward him? And oh boy, like a knife in the heart. And of course, that's the part that hurts us. Not what he says and does, but what I am saying and doing and thinking and believing that hurts me. And then let's see another opposite. He doesn't care about me. Another opposite, I don't care about me.
I don't care about me,
so
absolutely.
So in that situation, I meditate on that moment in time, and I witness where I hurt me.
So I was just thinking, for example, I first came across your work and used it when my husband went off. We were going through a marriage meltdown about 8 years ago. And I was using it on he betrayed me.
Yeah.
And I was torturing myself with that thought.
Yeah.
And I went through those 3 steps.
Yeah.
Where would you be without that thought?
Yeah, who would you be without that thought?
It's just incredible. Yeah. It's like taking a pair of dark sunglasses off and suddenly realizing, oops.
Yeah, there's light. There's and wisdom has a right to live, and as a result of meditating on those questions, and it lives. It truly is the end of suffering. It truly is for people who are open enough just to meditate on that situation in time and question it.
But going to your turnaround questions, I wasn't ready to. They're just about all true. Like he hasn't betrayed me, or I've betrayed him. I wasn't ready to hear those at that point.
Oh my goodness, the ego just, no. He betrayed me. I didn't betray him.
And then there's I betrayed myself, and that one I could hang on to, and and that one I could really work with.
Yeah.
And
so we work with what we're able to work with. And as we do
Absolutely.
that, we become open and open and open because our life, the suffering in our life becomes, oh my gosh, eventually if someone says, are you angry? You can't, it's been years. And whereas it seemed to be constant from where I
Mm-hmm.
came from. And it's,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So,
Every time
so
we
I
do the
think,
work, we come out as kinder human beings, clearer human beings, kinder.
yeah, because I just wanted to say what I perhaps did wrong. I know you say there are no wrongs,
Mm-hmm.
but I then started to hammer myself with the thought that I'd betrayed myself. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I think it's important to keep going with
Well, it's
the work
important to
because they.
understand that the work is meditation, and we're
Mm-hmm,
simply meditating on a
mm-hmm,
moment in time and what we were thinking and believing then. And
mm-hmm,
if I hit the thing where I betrayed him, and it just feels like a knife in your heart, then
mm-hmm,
you just open your mind to, that doesn't mean it's true. Let's just kind of open our minds and see some possibilities here. Could it possibly be true that I betrayed him? And then it could be he did this horrendous betrayal, but I find only this tiny, tiny, tiny little betrayal.
mm-hmm,
And it matters. If betrayal
mm-hmm,
matters to me, until I
mm-hmm,
can see my own, I'm only going to be at war with other people and myself. So
mm-hmm.
it's it's a slow down process, and it is meditating on possibilities, not facts,
Yes,
but
yes.
possibilities.
Yes, and it's not switching one story for another story,
No,
really.
no. When we switch
It's
stories, the other one
uh-huh.
wins out in the long run because we still believe it.
Yeah.
But if we question what we're believing, the
Yes.
next time it arises, oh, I remember when that used to hurt, or you may not even notice it at all. And there's nothing
Yes.
left except the next situation where you're
Hmm.
suffering or disturbed.
Hmm. I heard you talk somewhere about thoughts being almost like rain.
Yeah,
So they.
they're like raindrops. They're not
Hmm.
personal. They don't come to attack us. They're not mean.
Hmm.
They come, they go like the clouds in the sky, like a raindrop. And for me to understand these thoughts, when the mind understands itself, that's the ultimate love affair, the love affair
Hmm.
with the self. And that's what inquiry shows us so clearly. It is the end of war.
Hmm. Hmm. So you say defense is the uh,
Defense is the
the
first act of war.
first act of war.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit about
Well,
that?
if someone attacks me, someone says, "Katie, you're unkind," and I think, you know, that's interesting. I didn't even notice. So I might ask that person, "Give me specifics."
Okay.
I'm
Hmm.
looking at it and I missed it, but I really want to know because my intention is not to hurt. My passion is to help. So help me out here. And then that person is always very happy to tell you where you're wrong or hurt or misguided. People love to be right. And
Hmm.
if you're a student, that's the person you want to be around. We call them enemies, but really they're friends because they'll
Yes.
point out what our egos don't want to hear. And then we can
Hmm.
take a look at it. It doesn't mean they're right. It just means, if it hurts me, that's something I need to take a look at. So, so I've learned something from that person. Where is it that you think I'm unkind, specifically? And then we can
Hmm.
discuss it, and then I grow. That person always
Hmm.
grows me. Now, defense is the first act of war. Let's say that person says, "Katie, you are unkind." And I jump out with, "I'm unkind. You're the one that's unkind." Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so who
Hmm.
started the war?
Hmm.
It was me.
Absolutely.
It was me. In the first circumstance, there was no war. My mind was open. I was growing. I was being informed. I was being mindful and expanded. In the second situation where I defended, in that moment, I started the war. That person has a right to see me as unkind. Everyone has a right to see the world the way they see it. And really, there's nothing that they can do about it. It's the way we see it in the moment. So why would I defend? In other words, why would I attack? Why would I start a war when it's something that could grow me? So it just makes sense that defense is the first act of war. And then we justify it. And so we stay stuck in it. And it just keeps us entrenched in that identification, that victim identification. And victims are violent people. And I've just given an example of that as well.
Yes, yes. So do you ever, you're very much in the present all the time now, aren't you?
Well,
you just
it's I live in an interesting world. I keep waiting for something terrible to happen. It's not as though I'm not open to it, but it just doesn't, because life is as I see it to be. Life is as I believe it to be. And that is in the moment. It's not by switching, lying to myself about the way I see it. It's about questioning the thoughts that would say there's anything less than love, basically. And that's what we're here in Earth School to understand, and that is our true nature. It's pure love. And fear is the cause of fear is what we're thinking and believing that would argue against anything that is less than beautiful. And and so, as far as I'm concerned, I'm completely open to something else. And I've been at this inquiry thing for a long time now, almost 28 years. And
wow.
And so I'm open, but so far so good. And I'm here to test it.
I'm fascinated that in the beginning you used to offer a 28-day workshop. And that's just so long.
Yeah, well, 28 days is the work is the work is worth taking time out for. But people did complain, I want to come to this 28-day school, but I can't take that much time away from my family and employment. And that made so much sense. So then I lowered it to 14 days. And then they said that was too much. We can't, it was the same thing. And so then I did 9 days, and it's stuck because there are 5 days with 2 weekends, and people can manage that, and so it's taking 9 days out to shift your entire life, and it really does shift it because no one's shifting it for you. We're sitting in inquiry, and it's a powerful school. We look at the physical body, and we look at finances and money. We look at war, the cause of war. We look at fear. What else? Communication, relationships. It's just huge. It's a wonderful capsule in the school. And on and on. But on every segue that I could possibly open to a person's experience of life, I put forward in that school and present, and it's remarkable. It's my favorite to watch so many people sit in themselves, and as they sit together and find peace that lasts.
So you're going to come to Europe soon.
I am. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're looking forward to having you. And you're going to be doing you're going to be doing a 4-day silence retreat.
Yep.
So how will you how will the work fit into the silence?
Well, I'm meeting a request on this one,
Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
and when I ask more questions about it, why do people need me if they're going to be silent? It was anytime questions arise or anyone has a worksheet that's written, then I'm going to do the work with them. Otherwise, it's
Okay.
silent. That's what I was told. And I'm just
Ah,
following the simple directions and really looking forward to that event. So who knows what will happen? And I'm doing a 1-day event in Zurich. So
wonderful,
yeah, people can
wonderful.
come get a flavor and maybe join that 4-day event as well.
Great, great. And then you're doing the 9-day in Germany, aren't you?
Yes, that 9-day school in Germany. Yeah, that's
Great.
that 9-day school for the work. Yeah. My schedule is on thework.com, and
Okay.
it's Paris, and July 16th is Paris, and then Zurich, then Cologne. I'm getting all this through my earphones. July 21st and is Cologne, and then July 24th is the 9-day school for the work. Wow.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this year I'll be in Australia. I'm going to see family in
Oh,
Australia,
that's
and
exciting. It's
yeah,
wonderful to be with family because anything that's left inside of you, families bring up.
yeah,
So
that's so true.
it's like Earth School begins, and the solution, the Earth School for me is to question what I believe about Earth and Earthlings, and then to be free to love it all. Yeah.
Do you think that, being beings of pure light, we need to almost take on a belief, a false idea of ourselves just to be here?
Well, on that's all we are. We are who we believe us to be. And
Yes.
we can never be more than that. And everyone in the world is who we believe them to be. They can never be more than that. And I found that as I continued to question what I believe about myself and people, that my identity continued to shift. And every time that shifted, the identity of people in the world shifted as I see them. So it just becomes kinder and kinder and kinder. And really what's left is gratitude, connection, and how can I help? And that's a
Yeah,
life worth living.
isn't that beautiful?
Oh, it is. It is. It is. It's such a
Hmm.
privilege to to be free enough to speak to this authentically, and
Hmm.
and and it's freedom's our birthright. It's the birthright of of everyone. And so, I'm here just to pass on the simple inquiry. That's my job.
Hmm. Hmm. It's well, I must, I think it's what I love about it is it's just so practical. It's just so down to earth
Yeah,
and
it's
so.
practical, it's user
Mhm,
friendly, and
mhm.
everything you need is in you. It's inside of you.
Yes.
We don't even need a teacher.
Mm,
Yeah, we're the
mm.
best. We're the most amazing teacher we're ever going to meet. And when we ask those questions, it allows us to see that master, that wisdom, that one within us that is always there, just waiting to be asked.
Yes. I was just thinking some stories. For example, when you were with when your grandchild was about to be born, in the process of being born, well, he had just been born
Yeah.
and wasn't breathing.
Yes.
And in that moment, you did a total surrender to that possibility.
Yeah. It just made
Uh-huh.
sense that
Hmm.
on whatever is the highest good. I mean, when
Yes.
we're in touch with our true nature, everything makes sense.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there's no control in wisdom. It just is. So
Yes.
just to match the unfolding beauty of what is to be connected with it and to see it. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't want my grandchildren coming into any kind of grandparent awareness less than that. And so, I would meet my grandchild, as they say, dead or alive. I'm connected. She doesn't have to live for me.
So you, in that moment, was it a she or a he? It was
A
he,
she,
wasn't it?
it was my
It was a
granddaughter.
she. Sorry, yeah, I'm mixing your stories up. I was thinking of another story too, where with your little grandchild. So she started to breathe. Do you think that was because, I'm just thinking theoretically here, I don't know if that's allowed, in that moment you surrendered to the moment and shifted how you were feeling. If you hadn't surrendered to that,
Or really, it was more of a noticing than a surrender. But we could see it, that word really, surrender flows, and it really does look like that. So was I?
now I was going to say, do you think that if you had resisted and fought the possibility of her actually not surviving, and spiraled, tortured yourself in a way and brought your energy down, do you thought you might then have created that reality?
Oh, absolutely, because the way I was experiencing life or death, the way I was experiencing the moment, it's has to do with what I'm thinking and believing.
Yes.
So I wasn't
Yes.
at war with what is. And war is always a confused mind. So war is really insane. And I don't want to miss the death of the birth of my granddaughter. And if she, fully, but if she were not born, did not breathe, it leaves me completely available to be with my daughter, to be supportive of my daughter, of my son-in-law, and my family. Anyone suffering, I'm completely available because I'm not busy dictating how the world should be.
And that just, I think, you just shifting how you felt in that moment just changed everything.
Oh, it certainly leaves no room for fear or terror or war. The war with what is. It just leaves celebration one way or the other.
Yes, yes. And I think that those thoughts of yours are just so, so powerful.
But they are powerful because there's no cause for war.
Yes.
And when we think there is cause for war, we're immediately fearful, and that means guns and bombs and prior to that, judgments that could use a little questioning, a little
Yes.
consideration, rather than
Yes.
just to believe them and start shooting from the hip and then having to use, oh my goodness, it's endless. It's
Yes, yes.
endless. And when we begin to
Well,
question our mind, all war ends.
so that's just such a simple solution for what's going on the planet.
Truly, the world is as I believe it to be. And if I don't love my world, I need to question what I'm believing about the world. The world is a projection of what we're thinking and believing from the inside. So if you live in a fearful world, then it's being produced literally out of your own fearful thinking. So every time a person fills in one of those judge your neighbor worksheets and questions what they believe, it becomes a kinder world, and that means less war, and that affects one human being waking up to reality shifts the world, the entire world as they understand it to be.
I think that's such an important point you make. And I was going to say we should send all politicians to you for 28 days, but actually that's projecting it onto them.
And it's nothing
they can come to you for 28 days.
Yes, and they're certainly welcome to the 9-day.
It's so easy to say they should do that, rather than I should do that.
It's certainly sends us back to ourselves. That's such a good catch.
Yeah. So do you think that we could do something about climate change just by changing our thoughts?
Well, if we were clear, we would. We already have the ability to change ocean water into drinking water. We already have the ability to do away with everything that pollutes. We have it. So if we were of right mind, imagine all those minds going the other direction into the solutions, just logical solutions. But what happens is what tends to happen in our own personal lives is we wait till the last minute, and then we are so fearful we make changes. And so it's what I love to do in my world is just watch and change what I can.
Yes.
Yeah. Do the work, live happily, and it gives me the energy to change what I can, which is more than I could do 28 years ago. I was so frozen in self-identification.
And it's working from the inside out, not
I would say false identification.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not trying to change the world, but rather changing ourselves just changing how we feel.
Yeah, I tell the story of my children not picking up their socks on the floor before the work. And I just, I would go in the mornings and their socks would be on the floor, and I would, it was a problem before school. They would not pick up their socks. And I would say, no television tonight, or until your room's clean, et cetera, et cetera. And then I found the work, and I walked into their bedrooms one day, and all the socks on the floor. And I had the thought they should pick up their socks, and I just started laughing. It was hilarious. I began to pick up the socks. I looked down at the floor. I had what I wanted all those years. The socks were off the floor. Only this time I noticed it. And that was the last of it. It was just the last of it. Everything I believe they should do, if they can't do it, if I can't do it, how can I expect them to? And today it's just so, we're all doing the dishes wordlessly. That's doing the dishes is a symbol in our household for we just do the thing in front of us. And it's not a big deal. We just all get it done. So one person's shift affects a family. It affects, and that affects a world. Just it's a profound thing. Something as simple as just turning it around and noticing that I just made me happy and I don't have to depend on them to do it.
Or as you were saying, gratitude, we could say, I feel so grateful. The socks are evidence that I have children in my life, and I'm collecting the evidence.
Well, I was more interested in the floor, the clutter being off the floor. I was very asleep.
Yeah.
And
but I'm just saying that.
Well, what you were saying is absolutely so. The socks are off the floor. I'm happy, and when you're happy, everything you think about and you see, you see it from a whole other light. And when you're depressed, the things you see in a dark light.
Yes, yes. And I love your idea that, where I'm just a woman cutting vegetables, instead of having some horrible thought about he should or she should or they should, or,
Yeah, it just
instead
leaves
of the
me
tornado.
present. Yeah, it just
Yeah,
leaves me
yeah.
present to do my job, and my job is always the thing in front of me. It's never more.
Yes.
So it's that's true for all of us. The only thing we need to do is we're able to do because everything we need to do is right now. And here we are with every tool we need.
Yes. I love the other story you tell about your grandson with the Jedi, where
Yeah.
he, with
Yeah.
that toy where he,
What book is that in?
I
Is
think that's in Loving What
Loving What
Is.
Is? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And,
Yeah, his little plastic toy. Every time you put a coin in it, it says you're not a Jedi yet, and it has
yes.
this this sound, this Darth Vader. It was that long ago because that grandson is now 20, but he
Wow.
was this little bitty guy, and so he'd put a coin in it, and you're not a Jedi yet, and and one day I asked him, honey, are you a Jedi? And he said, I'm not. So he was believing a plastic toy.
Incredible.
So that's how
Uh,
the mind works. We'll believe anything. And that was the point of the story. And even though I'd say, honey, your grandma's Jedi, he would run into this plastic toy and it would confirm one more time, you're not a Jedi yet. So
Wow. Wow.
I don't know if the toy ever was filled, if it changed its story or not, but I didn't experience that.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I was just wondering how that was ever resolved in his
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
You'll have to go and see him and ask him. I'm just going to take that off one minute. You'll have to, I've got one of those old ring phones and I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah.
You'll have to go and ask him one day if he's a Jedi.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like
I
to
would
hear.
say he might say, Grandma, sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not, because he's grown in wisdom and he's a lover of the truth.
Yes, yes. So when you made that huge shift from one day to the next, that was quite something for your family to
Yeah,
deal with.
it was difficult for them because there I was in the same body, but the awareness was so radically changed that the body is about all they could recognize. And but maybe they would drop something and look up very quickly for me to be angry or or not pleased for sure, and the
Mhm.
reaction would be just an extreme opposite experience. And so it was difficult for them for a while to know what to expect, always waiting for that mom to come back and 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 hoping that she wouldn't, and then wondering, what happened.
How lucky they were to
Yeah,
to
it
have.
was tough for a
Mhm,
while.
mhm, mhm.
It was a very remarkable shift in awareness.
Yes. Did you ever just slip back occasionally, or
I didn't. It wasn't necessary. My mind would show me all those.
just instantly?
My mind would show me the those moments that in life where he hurt me, or she said this, or they did that, or she and he and they, and I would put them on paper immediately, and I would do the
Uh-huh.
work with them, and
Okay.
and even it didn't make any difference that I didn't believe them. They were there. And so, it's that Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, when those statements, they're questions and questioned and you turn them around, they show you how to live. So it taught me how to live unidentified in the world. So it served me. It showed me, clearly how to live with this kind of, this extreme opposite mind that I experienced prior to the work, prior to that moment that you pointed to.
Yeah, yes. I just suddenly dawned on me that someone might have asked you a question, and I actually have a question here for you. Could I put this question to you from an Earth School listener? What if the answer to the first question is yes, this is true. Yes, my father is belligerent, and I cannot predict what he's going to have an angry outburst about.
So I would keep that very short, because there are 2 or 3 or 4 concepts to question within that. So I might start with, my father is belligerent. Is it true? And then okay. I would meditate on a moment in time, a situation where he was being very belligerent. Because in the work, we never have to guess what the answers are. They tell us. It's shown okay. to us as we're meditating on that moment. So my father's belligerent. Is it true? Well, maybe he's standing in the kitchen and he is being angry with me, and which is another concept I could question. But my father is belligerent. Is it true? And as I witnessed that moment in time, my answer could very well be yes. And for some okay. others, it would be no.
Okay.
As they really studied him. And then in that, I'm kind of pushing through this to answer it. But it could be yes, and then can I absolutely know that it's true that he's belligerent? And it still might be yes. But that's just being honest. It's where you are. That's yes. Your answer is all that matters here. You just meditate on it, and whatever you're shown is the answer. And then you notice yes. how do you react in that moment with your father when you believe mm-hmm. the thought he's belligerent. And then you begin to witness you and your emotions and how that felt and what you said and what you did. And you can see your body language and you can see your pain. And it's a compassionate place to be as you witness yourself in that moment in time. And then
I'm going to... Sorry, Katie, can I just give you the whole question?
Yes.
And that's very interesting. It's gone. It's gone. Oh, wait.
The way I understood it is, what if the answer to the first question is yes?
Yes. And then she goes on to say, yes, my father is belligerent and cannot predict what he's going to be angry about, going to have an angry outburst. How do I have a conversation with him if I want to address this behavior? Ignoring his outbursts feels like I'm accepting this behavior and feels disrespectful to me. If I remove myself from this abuse, I will no longer have a relationship with him, which doesn't feel right either.
Yeah.
I'd like to have a conversation and give him an opportunity. I just don't know how to phrase this conversation. People tell me I can't ask him to change.
Well, for me, if I were not going to do the work and I were just going to someone with some experience there, which I have
yes.
experience there, but without the work, it wouldn't... my job is to pass inquiry onto the world. But I do have experience yes. here, and for me it would look like, Father, I love you. I care about you. I don't want to be separate from you. And I find that when you're angry, when you appear to be angry at me, it frightens me and I disconnect. And I would love for us just to, when I see that happening, that you just tell me, how I can help, what it is about myself that I could change, and for you to understand that if I can, I would. I love you. It's kind of like that, but these are words I never, ever, ever would say if they weren't true for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I found those truths through the work, like this wise woman with the question. She loves her father. She doesn't want to be separate from him. And at the same time, she isn't, it's not honest for her to put up with it without saying anything. And at the same time, what do you say? Well, for me, it would be a judge your neighbor worksheet on my father in that situation where he's being belligerent and she's unable to predict when he's going to have an angry outburst. And judge your neighbor worksheet on those moments before he has the angry outburst. That's the terror, just anticipating that nanosecond of the future. So gathering what she's thinking and believing on that worksheet and then questioning it. It's all there. You question it, and when you turn it around, it shows you the cause of suffering. It can never be father. Fathers like that just take us to our work. They just show us the work that needs to be done. And like the caller, we either leave their company or we don't. But either way, are we at peace? That's what's important.
Yes. So and coming from a place of love and gratitude while she's with him, perhaps.
Or without him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So perhaps Doreen can get to one of your. Well, first download.
She can go to the work.com, and all the directions to do the work are there. It's completely free.
Yes.
Also, there's a helpline where certified facilitators are there. You can fill in a worksheet. And if you don't know how to fill one in, you don't understand it, then you can call, and they don't ask who you are. They just support you to do the work. They don't sell anything, nothing. They're just there to serve peace. And they're volunteers. Wonderful. And but again, all the directions are there. And also we have certified facilitators that take on clients, and they're amazing to work daily with or weekly, whatever arrangement can be made as well.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So I was just thinking that perhaps you could almost do an online 28 days.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In fact, there are facilitators that do that. They have 28-day in the morning where everyone comes together and you work a thought all at the same time, all together. You work like I cannot predict when my father's going to have an angry outburst. And then people from all over the world in that group will question that together. And it's very powerful.
That's very, very powerful.
There are some wonderful events on thework.com from all over the world and many languages.
Good. Well, we'll put a link on this page to that so people can find it, and they can find exactly what it is that they need help with, because they're just about every single thought on the planet.
Yeah. But our fathers, if they stop being belligerent, and never argued again, we're never angry again, it's not going to free us. It's just not going to free us. So fathers are here to push us to finding our own way. And so are mothers, and so is everyone in the world. Again, as you would say, it's Earth School.
Yes,
And we're here
yes.
to teach
I
everyone. It
often
doesn't
like,
matter. It's like
uh-huh.
happiness teaches, sadness teaches. And if it's not happiness, then it's worth questioning.
Yes, yes. I sometimes liken it to be like as like scuba diving. So we're having a dive experience,
Uh-huh.
and our father is a master dive instructor
Mm-hmm.
who's
Mm-hmm.
taking us down to a dark place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
But only as we need it.
mm,
Yeah, because it pushes us to our work, our inner
yes,
work,
yes.
whatever that may be.
Okay. So with feeling, do you think we're here really to feel? Uh, we're here to have a feeling experience, to feel deeply. And
I,
do
th- I
you think
think
that
I think to connect with our true nature and in my
to
experience, it's pure love. It's
to wake?
connectedness.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
then in that, it really is the coming out to service. And that is, as I said earlier, a life worth living, the only life worth living.
yes, yes. So you're driven by that just desire to just just the sheer gratitude of being here and
Yes, and I know what suffering is. And I know
yes,
clearly it's an illusion. But I also
yes,
know clearly that when we're in it, it hurts. It's horrible. It's war. And I am here to say there is a way. There is a way to free ourselves, and it's not through more war.
yes. Mm, mm. And I think what's phenomenal about your work is that we don't think it's a thought in the beginning. We think it's reality. That's really how it is. And I think the beauty of the work is that it enables you to see that actually that is a thought.
Yeah, it gives us a way to test that theory.
Yes,
Like this world really is hurtful and terrible sometimes. And inquiry gives us a chance to to question to question our thoughts about the world in those areas and to set
yes.
ourselves free from any suffering around
Well,
the thoughts.
yes, yes. Well, I just want to say, once again, thank you so, so much for having once been in a dark place and having come out of it and having this, brought this with you, this huge gift
You
to
know,
all of
it's
us.
it's my it's my
Hmm.
privilege, and what comes to mind as you were speaking is I walked into a store the other day,
Hmm.
like day before yesterday, and a woman said, "Are you the woman that does the work?" And I said, "I am." And she said, "Oh my goodness, I recognized you." And I said, "Yes, I do the work." And she said, "Oh," and I said, "It's so much fun." And she said, "Fun?" She says, "I was at the low point of my life about 8 years ago, and I found the work, and I just on the internet, and I was I think she said YouTube, but I just did a little of it, and it changed my life forever." She said, "It's more than fun." And I said, "Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you." But it was an extraordinary experience to run into someone that had such an impact on inquiry, had such an impact on 8 years prior, and is still working in her. And
Yes, yes,
and so I'm very I'm I'm very grateful for that. It shows me to keep moving. And
yes.
it is a privilege, and I love that it served you, and I love that it would serve your listeners and your
Thank you, thank you.
viewers.
Well, you did really turn my life around 8 years ago. You really helped me, and I must say that often that I sort of forgot about doing the work, and the other day found myself really torturing myself over something, and I suddenly remembered to do the work, and it was just like a cloud dissolving. It
changes our consciousness. Every time we do it, it changes our consciousness, and that's forever. And it's not that the unquestioned thoughts are not going to override it, but that shift we made, it's forever. So thank you for this time together. I'm hearing in my ear, it's time to wrap up, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much for coming to Earth School and for being here. And thank you.
Thank you, Jenna.
And look forward to seeing you, hopefully in Switzerland. And
thank you, and enjoy your family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.